G'day everyone. So we're just about to start our 10-week plan leading into the Canberra Marathon, so that's April 5th. This week I've just been, again, just doing light work. Most of my runs have been roughly I think I did 110k, mostly sixes. The legs are still a little bit tired from the ultra, but I'm still moving. I feel like I'm moving alright. I just feel like I'm having to work a little bit harder than what I should be. So this week it has just been more about recovery than anything. Hasn't really been any training runs. I did do a test tempo run for a little bit just to see how that went, see how it felt. Didn't feel too bad, but I noticed the next day I did have a bit of a tight calf, so I'll talk about that a little bit more later, though I do want to introduce tempos. But yeah, generally I do feel pretty good when I'm moving around again now. I think I ran every day this week. And it's roughly about a 40k week, so that's not a huge week for me, but it has been consistent and I've always ran around about the same pace. Like I said, it's just feeling a little bit harder than it should be. I think it's just legs are still a little bit tired, and I've also changed a few things as well, so we'll go into that as well. So in my last video I talked about how I was basically eating to fuel my running and my weight loss hadn't actually progressed any. I'd stayed around that sort of 95 kilos. When I hopped on the scales, I'm actually 97 kilos, so that's my starting point for the period. I do want to be a bit lighter than that when I roll up to Canberra, so we'll see how we go. One of the things I have done this week is I've heavily reduced the amount of carbs that I'm eating and changed it to mostly proteins now. As I've been told, when I run now, it is going to feel a lot harder because there's no readily available sugars, that sort of thing, so the body has to process more. So I'll see how that goes. Hopefully I can stick with it, because if it does, then that will actually help promote my weight loss and, makes my body work that little bit harder to do the same amount of effort rather than having those readily available sugars when I do go for my runs. So I'm going to stick with that for a few weeks and see how it goes, and hopefully I'm enjoying it and weight loss sort of kicks back into action. That being the case, then I'll stick with that, and then the plan would be a week and a half, 2 weeks out from Canberra. I think maybe that could change. Then I will change back to having the carbs, so hopefully by the time I roll around to lining up for Canberra, I should be moving really well and feeling awesome. And to move at the pace I've been training at, it should be easier because the body has that different fuel and that available. So we'll see how that goes. That's the plan. Looks good on paper. We'll try it in practice and see what happens. I've spent a lot of this week reviewing my training as well. So basically for the, last year or so, I basically just go out and I run at the pace to suit the distance that I'm planning on running. So if I was going to go do a 5k run, if I want to just take it easy, then I say, I might do a 5:15, 5:20s, and then I'll just hold that pace for the 5k, and that would be it. If I wanted to push a little bit harder, I might want to be trying to go to park run and try and do a PB or something, which is about 24.5 minutes or something. Then I'll run at the 4:50 5-minute Ks and basically just push it to see how far I can go. But at the end of that run, doing another kilometre after that, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm just exhausted. Whereas if I say I'm going to go do a 10 or 12k run, then it might be I want to sit around the 5:40s and just coast. So that's basically how my training's been going. So what I'm looking at doing now is incorporating some tempo work, see how that goes. So I'm a little bit hesitant because I tried doing the tempo thing maybe 12, 14 months ago. I tried doing the tempo thing, and within a few weeks I'd blown my calf and spent 8 weeks trying to recover. I came back and I think it took less than a week and I'd torn my calf again. So I obviously back then wasn't doing something right. My body should be capable of doing what it was doing, but I mustn't have been stretching properly or taking the next day as taking a slow run a bit more seriously, because it was always the day after that I hurt myself, not when I was actually running the tempo. I did do a tempo this week where I basically just went out for 6k. I ran a 5:10, 5:12 for that 6k. It was basically the next day that my calf started to tighten up, but it wasn't a hindrance. It's just more annoying than anything. I could feel that it was tight. Last year, when I did tear my calf, I didn't really listen to my body, and it's quite important that I have to do that. Especially given it is 10 weeks, an injury now will mean I'm not lining up for Canberra. So I need to make sure I do pay attention to my body. It probably did give me warnings 14 months ago when I tore my calf, and I probably ignored them. Wasn't so clever, but I got there. You learn your lessons. So this time when I've done that, I did go out the next night. I was planning to do a 10k slow run, ended up only being about 5.5k. Cut that short basically because it just wasn't feeling right and I didn't want to push my luck. So I cut it short that night. Next night was also just a nice light run, as well as going for a bit of a long walk just with the pup, just taking it easy and stretching the legs. And I did a few light shuffles when I was out walking the dog, and generally took it easy and just made sure everything was feeling okay. I've done a bit of stretch work as well, just really paying attention to where it was sore, just making sure everything is okay. At this stage I think it was just something might have been a bit tight. I did go out the following night, so last night, ran a nice light 10k and actually felt pretty good at the end of that. So everything seemed to be normal, and just sort of backing off those few days might have helped. But it's something I'll keep track of over the next few days and the next week or so, just to make sure everything's okay. So like I said, I'm going to introduce some tempo work. The purpose of the tempo is to just get the body used to working at a higher speed. The tempo pace should be 20 to 25 seconds a kilometre slower than your 5k race pace. I don't really have a race pace, I don't race 5Ks, but I do know what my best I can do at 5k. That's purely based off a park run. So and that's 24.5 minutes. So I sort of worked it out, and it should be that sort of 5:10, 5:15 pace. So I'm going to start at that area and just see how it feels. That is what I ran the 6k at earlier this week, and that did feel quite good. But the idea of the tempo is just to get the body used to working at that higher pace, and it's just sort of that speed which your body can run at without getting that lactic acid build up. So you can hold that pace, and in theory you should be able to hold that pace for sort of 40 minutes, maybe an hour. It depends how long you go. Given I want to be a long distance runner, not a pro runner, but a long distance runner, I should be able to hold that pace for an hour, hopefully a little bit more. And given about to do a 10-week training program, at the end of that 10 weeks, hopefully should be able to hold it quite well. But we'll see how that goes. This week I've got 2 tempos planned and a lot of light runs. So Monday I'm just kicking it off with a 6k light run. That will be nothing special. Then Tuesday I'm looking at doing an 8k, and just in the middle I want to do probably a 2k warm up, do a 4k tempo, and then go back to a 2k cool down for 8k total. But just want to hold that pace for 4k, get used to it, and then give myself a few Ks just to slow down and relax everything, and basically just cruise back to the finish where we want to be. I'm planning on doing a second tempo again on Thursday. So that run is more going to be an on and off, just looking at 10Ks, basically run a K and then push for a kilometre and then switch back again, and just alternating K in, K out for that 10Ks. I think that means the 10th K will be a push, but means I probably won't actually push that last K. Just again have that 2 kilometres just to cruise back and make sure everything's feeling okay. So that'll be my first 2 tempo runs where I'm actually going to try and incorporate into my training week and just see how that goes. The day after each one of those tempos I've just got a light run planned, just to stretch it out. That's more of a cautionary thing. Like I said, last time I did these tempos it didn't really work out so well, so I'm giving myself the following day to take it easy and just make sure everything's okay. Also this week we're going to go back to getting our long runs back in, so I haven't done any long runs since I finished the ultra, so we're going to start them again this week. Most likely I'm thinking I might roll up to park run, do the 5k there, and then just go for a 10k run after it. Other than that, that's all for this week. Hopefully your training's going really well, and there's no issues your end, and whatever goal it is you're working towards, hopefully it's slowly closing in and you're getting ready for it. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you all next week. See ya.